So it's now 9:17. The next one I'm going to talk on, and actually there's nothing to go on the board. This is more just something that I'd been feeling that I'm sure, to be honest, a lot of other people do as well. And actually I had a really interesting chat with an entrepreneur based out of Eastern Europe yesterday. And I think it's really funny that people that own a business or even run a business, people had said to me in the past, it was almost some advice, I guess, saying that it can be a really lonely place to be the MD or whoever of a business, because in some ways everyone looks to you for the answers to solve all the problems, when actually you're a person too, if that makes sense. And actually it was just, especially for entrepreneurs, consultants, freelancers, etc., it can also feel like an especially lonely place because you have all these problems. You don't necessarily have the workplace or the people to kind of bounce stuff off and get their ideas and that kind of thing. And then likewise, there's always the balance as well on the perception that other people are doing really well and you're not, and is it just you? And that can build a lot of pressure. And it's just, it can be a really difficult thing. So I thought I'd just, touch on it for a few minutes. That I must admit, I hope I'm quite good at this. I understand how to do business and how to write strategies and do the whole thing. But I must admit, in the first kind of 6 months of me setting up, there was still a lot of kind of finding my feet, finding my market, refining my approach, going out and speaking to people. And the one thing which really kind of worked, and it was when things really started to take off, was that I talk about something called lead actions quite a lot, which is it's knowing the important things to your business to achieve your goal, and then actually tracking them and doing them and just to start the activity. And for me, actually, it was when I started to properly do my sales approaches and just approach people to say hello and start the conversation. And this was to do with the consultancy. I think there's a time lag of maybe about a month from when I was starting to do it, and then you'd have meetings, and then when it starts to actually kind of roll through to people say, yes, we want to hire you, and how it kind of goes forward. But actually, there was a point where you go through that process and you obviously do everything you can to get out there and start earning money so that you can start to build your business kind of thing. But I still found it kind of tough. The next year, luckily, some of things went really well, and actually working with multiple different customers in multiple different industries. I'm really just trying to add as much value as you can. But in terms of the mental kind of pressure side to it, I still think even now that I always want to make sure I deliver value to customers and do the best job I possibly can, because that's just me. But that still gets to me, and that's one of the, I guess it would probably fall under kind of anxiety, but it does happens to me, happens to a lot of people. And then likewise, one of the other things that people also put a lot of pressure on themselves, including me, on you want to progress quicker or at a certain rate, that actually you might feel that your business isn't going as fast as you want it to, and you can put a lot of pressure kind of on yourself doing that. And again, I fall under that trap quite a lot. And the one thing when I was looking at and doing my research on this kind of topic is that try, if you can, for one, not to be too hard on yourself, but actually if you always think about what advice would you give your best friend. So imagine that your best friend is doing what you're doing, they're trying to start their own business or whichever, and really trying to make it work. We're often, 10 times more critical to ourselves than we would ever be to other people. And it's just that kind of thing of almost, give yourself a break in some ways. And I'm guilty of this as well. And it's almost where, it's a long journey that we're all on. I always joke with the Roadmap MBA that I'm now 8 weeks into a 10-year kind of journey, and I'm doing my best and I'm doing all the right things and hopefully just trying to get it in front of people. And even coming in on Fridays on a bank holiday weekend to do a live stream is one of my lead actions. It's just to keep the momentum going. And then on that point is that I made the decision when I started my own business, was that even if it failed, if I knew I'd done everything I felt I could to make it work, I could live with that. What I didn't want to do was start my own business, do my own thing, kind of half-arse it or not really put the effort in, and then if it doesn't work out, regret it for the rest of my life. So that was, one of those things. But again, I'd love to hear your messages, either personal DM or otherwise, just on how you kind of find stuff. But it was just, as part of we're starting to build a really good community with the Roadmap MBA now. There's a lot of people on the same journey. A lot of people actually with very similar problems where they're looking to first start to articulate their message and get their websites up and start the whole process. And then, part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this, and again in the kind of classroom sessions, I'll probably go into more detail, is just to be, for people to feel that they can be open and honest about their own journey, and I'll do it myself, that, nobody's perfect. We all kind of do our best. And, in time, there are lots and lots of people out there that will happily help you if they can. and it's, you know, we're all kind of on this journey together. So it was just, I wanted to do a few minutes on that just to kind of, you know, be honest about my own kind of journey. And yeah, if you've got any questions, kind of please feel free to reach out.